walk away here from it. It's good.
Overcoming commission objections.
Yeah, overcoming commission objections. That's a good one. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah, how do you actually start the listing presentation? You're walking in, how do you approach it? Yeah, talk about that. It's a really good comment. Anybody else?
How about how to manage 500 listings?
Yeah, there's a hiring class like out there somewhere.
We have a class tomorrow on leverage. That's how you manage 500 listings.
I actually don't know. At my height of my career, not height of my career, but height of when I was actually the listing agent in my business, we had 780 active listings at one time. Now, the problem was I didn't have Bob's class that he just taught, which was
Pricing and price reductions?
yeah, like how to price and how to sell. In 2008, 2009, 2010, my number one expense was listings unsold. Right? I just was not being as picky as I should have been. Good. Where you guys want to stay? I have 2 chairs here, so 2 of the 3 of you can stay. That's what the guy said. Said as long as they're in chairs, they're okay. But only 2. We only have 2, unfortunately. So you guys can like fight it out.
I think all 3 can sit on 2 seats.
No. It's very generous, thank you. Yeah, just grab those seats and go over there in the corner. It's awesome. That's my mom used to say. Grab a seat, go to the corner. We still have 10 minutes till we officially start. What else do you guys want to walk away with? Yes? Powerful closing questions. Yeah. I'm going to start you off with some powerful starting questions. Yeah, because that matters. What else?
How do you stand out from other agents?
How do you stand out from other agents if you go compete with them? That, to be honest, that is exactly the reason that I wrote this listing presentation. Because, to be honest, we almost do exactly the same thing. Right? Here's my imagination. We're walking into a Kia dealership. I don't know why I think Kia. I drive a Ford, so we walk into a Ford dealership, right? We walk in there, I run across Bob. Bob says, what you looking for? I said, I want a Ford 150. He's like, why is that? I said, well, because I'm kind of a redneck. Like I need some place for my dog, and you know, I need a gun back. Yeah, fishing pole holder. Like that's what I need, right? So Bobby walks me across the lot and he says, 2020 Ford 150. 2020 Ford 150. It is, make it up, it's $50,000. So wow, it's cool. Let me look at it. I look at it. I look around there, right? This looks good. I walk away. I said, let me think about it. I'll get right back and grab some lunch. So I leave. I'm driving across town, and all of a sudden, there's another Ford dealership. I walk in there, right, and I meet RJ. Raise your hand, RJ. RJ says, what are you looking for, sir? And I said, I'm looking for a Ford 150. He said, that's the best one we have here, to be honest. Can I show you my favorite one? Yeah. He's like, I haven't shown anybody yet. It's secret. Still has stickers on it. Really? Show me that one. Then he walks me up there and he's whispering because he thinks it's a secret. Right? And he's walking me up there and he's like, you're not going to believe this. This is brand new. It has 7 miles on it. It's a 2020, right? It has a 4.7 liter Economoose engine. I don't know what that means. I'm just shaking my head like I do. That sounds real good. Yeah. He's like, you want leather seats? I'm like, yeah, I want leather seats. Are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Do they vibrate? He said, no, but they heat. I'm like, down here. And he's like, absolutely. And we walk in there and he showed me all these different things. They're the exact same truck for the exact same price. Which one do I buy? Sales agents? But to actually, I not call them buyer's agents, call everybody sales agents. And I allowed everybody to get paid whether they got a buyer or they got a seller. What ended up happening there, my buyer's agents still do 80% buyers, but now they're finding 20% sellers. My listing agents still do 80% listings, but they still work with a couple clients. I think the security, that's terrible. I almost kicked you out in the back. Sorry, I'm like, you cannot stand in the back. I already got a lecture.
So thank you for being safe.
We're still waiting on our official start time. We're just chilling right now. I don't know why, because everybody's in the room here. Just trying to be timely.
No one else can come in, so. Right.
Any other final questions you want to get out of it today? Go ahead.
How do I get people to line up to listen to things?
How do you get people to?
Line up to listen to things.
Yeah, line up to listen to you. Yeah, that is a lead generation question almost. Yeah, I'll do my best
I
today.
mean, it's a lead conversion question too, right? If you have a really big database, you can start to get people lined up. Something that reports or would sell it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Oh, I saw him. Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you going to share your listing presentation?
Absolutely. In fact, it's already on YouTube. I should have told the people that got kicked out.
So in the last 4 years, one of the things I got from our takeaway was that the piece of paper that I used to hide behind to do my listing presentation really is just a material that I need to add after. So I was looking for the questions now that I should build on, that I should ask instead of using the piece of paper to guide my conversation.
We'll talk about the difference between the two approaches. There's an approach where you say, I'm going to ask questions, right? And there's a, I'm going to do the presentation. And a lot of people say you should do one over the other. The actual answer is both, or it depends. I'm so fired up out there.
Break through that door. It's going to take your seats, guys.
I'll tell you, the people that most often go towards the question-based listing presentations do almost all by referral, and they're doing a needs assessment with somebody who's already decided to work with them. Those that say you should do presentations only are normally in competitive situations where they're going against canceled expires, FSBOs, or people that are interviewing 2 or 3 agents, because in that situation, they're trying to see why they should hire you over you over you. Does that make sense? So you need to do a combo of both, really.
So you're saying there's 2 ways that I need to approach every system?
Yeah.
Whether it's whether it's this, I'm using paper, trying to compete. If it's somebody that's referred me because it's a friend or a family member, I kind of already got to do something closed.
Ben's going to give you his 30-second listing presentation before he gives you the real one that you use in a competitive situation, but sometimes you walk in and it's going to be his 30-second listing presentation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys in the chat, we pitched that one, that's pricing earlier, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so we can probably get started today. A couple of clerical things as we get going today. My name is Ben Kinney. Most of you guys probably know that. I've seen a lot of your faces before. My partner in crime today, his name is Bob Stewart. Bob Stewart works full-time for Brivity. Him and I have worked together at Active Brain, Brivity, and many other ventures for, I don't know, over 10 years. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a really, really long time. Anybody ever go to an event called Rain Camp? Anybody? Wow. Fantastic. My first time, that's how many years have passed. But about 10 years ago, Bob and I made the kind of a first traveling tech road show class for real estate agents. It was 8 hours. First time I'd ever spoken for 8 hours, and Bob and I did over 30 cities in 1 year. And that's how we got used to presenting and talking together. This is a class that we get access to do because we are partners in the Keller Williams Exhibit Hall, and this is a Brivity-sponsored event. Brivity is the custom website provider for Command, and we integrate contacts inside to the CRM for any agents that use it, right? And we have our own suite of solutions and tools. We won't talk about that today, but what you will see is you'll see how I integrate technology to set me apart in my actual listing presentation. And the slides that we're going to show today, these are actually the same designs that you would see if you got a copy of my listing presentation. Make sense?
Since this is Brivity sponsored, I think I'll just throw it out there, like all of our Brivity clients have access to Ben's listing presentation in an editable format that they can turn into their own. Just FYI.
Yeah, the scripts are available on YouTube. Did I do my job back there? We good? We're good, awesome. Okay, I really appreciate you guys coming today. This is going to be super fun. We want this to be engaging. I'm not allowed to have anybody stand in the back. I've already got yelled at 11 and a half times. So I apologize. That's like, sorry guys. And there's literally no chairs in this room, correct? Like nobody has a bag or a chair or anything. I'm really
Fire
sorry.
marshal's gonna come in and like, they'll stop us until you guys leave,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. So let's imagine we're stepping into our listing appointment. Let's just walk through the process and we're going to pretend that Bob's our seller today. When I walk in the door, I usually have my package. Let's pretend it's my listing presentation, my materials, my CMA, any of those things that I might need for today. When I walk in, I'm going to thank them for bringing me into the home. And I'm going to ask them, would it be okay if I set some stuff down? And they're going to say, wherever we're going to meet today. When they do that, they're going to most likely they're going to bring me into a living room or a kitchen. You guys all know that, right? I take my stuff and I put it in the seat that I want to sit in. I take control from the very beginning. If there is one person, I'm going to sit on a corner so I can look at them at a diagonal because I don't like to be confrontational face to face. Right? If there's two people, I'm going to usually sit on the end or on one side over here so I can position myself so I can see both people at the same time. I lost listings before in the past because I made the mistake of making eye contact with one person over the other. That other person thought I didn't like them or ended up not liking me. I learned the lesson. Now, even if they sit down, I'll say, would it be okay if we rearrange seats for a second so that I could see you both? It would mean a lot to me. Start off right away controlling the situation. Next thing I do, would one of you be willing to give me a tour of your home? Or both, that's okay. But I love it when one of them does it because I get to separate them and they usually talk in a different manner when they're by themselves. Sometimes they always go together. It allows me to ask questions. Now, when you've been a real estate agent for as long as many of us has, what you'll notice is that we don't really need to see what the home looks like. We actually know what bedrooms look like, but we're pretty sure we've seen the same exact bathroom, right? We know where they got their linoleum and their tile. We just know what houses look like. But I take a lot of time to do it because it makes them feel like I truly care about their home. When I'm walking around, I'll be walking around with them. First thing I'm doing is I'm looking around for items that I think would help me determine their personality. I'm looking around for items that will help me determine their lifestyle, their likes, any commonalities that I can find with that person, from their books to their pictures to what they do for a living. And if I'm not getting a lot, I'll just ask questions like that. Oh, where are you from? And I'm walking around and I'll even do things like I'll put my back up against the wall and just look around like this. Apologize, Bob. What I like to do, I like to make sure that I can envision where the camera's going to go and what the picture's going to look like. So you can see me standing in weird spots, but I want to make sure that I can showcase your property the best. So if I'm doing anything weird, right, or taking my time, it's because I really care and I want to do a great job. I'm setting this expectation that I even do those things different than probably the other real estate agent. They've seen a million homes. The problem is they act like it. We go walking through the entire property, right? We look at everything. Would it be okay if I opened this up? Would it be okay if I looked in here? Would it be okay if I took a peek? If they try to rush through something, would it be okay if I just like glanced in there? Try to make sure that they see that I'm looking at everything. I might ask them things like, when's the last time that you guys did improvements? What have you improved or repaired since you purchased? What's your favorite thing about the home? What's your least favorite thing about the home? What do you love about the neighborhood? Where do you think your actual buyer's going to come from? Have you sold a home before in the past? Where'd that buyer come from? Have you worked with an agent before? Has this home ever been listed? And I'll ask those questions. I've done all the homework. I've done the research. I know most of those things. Just out of curiosity, what'd you pay for this? I know what it is. I did my homework before I got here, right? I'm asking the questions to see if they're consistent and see what they're going to say. Just out of curiosity, you guys have a number in your heart that you guys need to get for your home just to make it even worthwhile for you selling? That is a question that you can get away with even more when the couple, spouses, or partners are separated. When they're together, like 75% of the time, Randy, you're going to get this. We want to hear what you think. You separate them, especially with the talker. The non-talker usually stays back because they're not super social. They send you with the talker, it's just sweet, right? Yeah, let me go with him. Right? And we're walking around. So, then we get back. And many times we would have emailed our pre-list package to them, or we would have dropped one off at their house if there was time to do it. If not, I'm bringing it with me. If I've already done that, I have an advantage. Because when I talked to them, I said, did you have an opportunity to review our pre-listing package that we sent over? And you guys might ask, what's my pre-listing package? It's the same exact thing as my listing presentation. It has the words written out in it, and if they read it, they're going to hear the same exact things that I would say.
No price, ever, we never said price.
Yeah, just what we do to make us do. Make sense? Then, I'm going to learn a couple things, RJ. Number one, I didn't have time to do it. That's a high D. Right? I loved the photographs of the houses and the video things that I saw. Probably got an I. Right? S's, I have a couple more questions. Yeah. C's, did you know that there was a spelling error on page 2? You had 2 periods, like dot, dot. No. Right? You learn a little bit by that. So we get all that put together, and I'm walking up, and I'll use my listing, my favorite listing presentation in the world. This is super easy for you guys. Here's what I say. Is there anything other than price that you would like to discuss before we get started with the listing paperwork?
That's your 15-second listing presentation. I don't know if it took that long, right?
Yeah. Is there anything other than price that you'd like to discuss before we get started with the listing paperwork?
Because if they're referred to you, like this guy was saying over here, right? If they were referred to you, they might be ready to sign with you right away, and everything you did after that was going to talk them out.
Well, a lot of leads that we get, Bob, these are people that came from a home valuation website that we retargeted on Brivity to our seller sites. We've sent them out information. We sent them market reports for a long time. There's a good chance that they just want to list with me. Why create objections by me talking? We talk a lot of people out of sales because I'm just in there, and then I create an objection for myself. So is there anything other than price that you'd like to discuss before we get started with the listing paperwork? If they say no, I'll say, great, let's get started with the listing paperwork. And I grab my paperwork, I don't grab the listing press, I take it out, right? And I circle prices, and we'll come back to that. And I just start working through the listing paperwork. Save yourself and save others from your listing presentation. Like, we owe it to them. We definitely owe it to them to not see any more Photoshop pictures of us. Trust me. And that's a dead serious script that I use as much as possible. In the downturn, I did something pretty bold for a while. I just started mailing canceled expires listing paperwork. With a return envelope and stamps. I got like a 1 out of 20 response. I just signed it and sent it back. That was awesome. Yeah, it actually worked. Yeah. Do you have a question?
How would you respond when they say, yes, we want to discuss commission? How do you actually respond?
They say, yes, we want to discuss commission. I'll say, great, let me cover that for you. That would normally happen at the end, and I'll cover commission objections for you. Let's pretend that they said, you know what, actually, I would like to hear a little bit about what you're going to do to get our property sold, right? Then you go into the listing presentation that Bob and I are going to do today. Make sense? But don't do it if you don't have to do it. So, when we get to the end of the listing presentation, I'll open this up for objections. We'll role play objections. I'll tell you guys exactly how I'd handle it, and we'll go from there. Cool, Joe? Everybody good? Excited? You guys warm? Yeah, I'm gonna be super sweaty. Okay. So Bob, I really appreciate you taking the time today to sit down with me and talk about getting your home sold.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
At this point right here, either on the phone or while walking around or before I got started, I went through my pre-qualification questions, which I call my seller sheet. It's actually a yellow sheet of paper that has a bunch of questions that helps me identify all the things that you would need to know in advance. If my inside sales agent had set the appointment, they would have filled out the yellow sheet. If I had done it, I would have filled it out. If they got half of it, I'd call back the day before or morning of and say, I just got a couple more questions to make sure that I'm the most prepared for our appointment later. And I'll walk through and I'll fill it out. The reason it's called a yellow sheet is because the green sheet was for buyers, and I wanted to easily, no matter where I was at, be able to grab the one for buyers or the one for sellers and have it in front of myself. So we have yellow sheets and we have green sheets. Okay, so I already know a bunch of stuff about them. So I'm walking through this as an actual presentation where we're skipping a little bit of the Q&A side, okay? So Bob, one of the things that makes our team really different is we know what makes your home
He normally
sell.
doesn't stand with his back to the seller. You know?
Yeah. You want to sit your butt on the floor? We know what makes your home sell for top dollar, right? And that's what I want to focus on today is what is it that we do different from everybody else that has allowed us to sell so many homes at or above asking price in the shortest possible amount of time. And just so I'm clear, is that your goal today as well?
Yes.
Top dollar, shortest amount of time?
Yes.
All right, great. So, the first thing that we want to discuss is the four things that we've determined that make a property sell for the highest amount of money. Number one, how the property is priced. And Bob, I want you to know right away that I don't determine that. And in the end, the final sales price, you don't determine that either. That's determined by what buyers are willing to pay now. And we'll spend a bunch of time talking about pricing, but we'll save that for the end when we discuss the actual starting price. Notice that word, starting price, that we would like to try as we get your home on the market. Dollar is how it shows. And we're going to go into detail and explain what that means, but I want buyers to come into your home, look around and say, this is where I want to live, and I'll give you some help on how to do that. And I want buyers who have never been inside your house to raise their hand and say, I want to see that. Because I know once they're inside your door, they're actually going to buy. Seem fair?
Yeah.
And if we can do number one and number two, all we have to do is number three and number four, and I can guarantee the sale of your home. Number three, and probably the reason why you want to work with us the most, is because we know how to market properties to where buyers find the actual home that they purchased. Number four, what's going to set us apart is our communication. And we'll talk about how we communicate and what that means. Okay. As we start through the presentation, I'll explain pricing, but I won't go into pricing. Pricing is something that somebody gets from me after they've committed to working with me. I'm not necessarily an information source. They can go to Zillow to get a price that doesn't matter. If they want to work with me, I'm going to try to get them to commit first, because, Benjamin, I don't tell people what their home is worth. We help come up with that answer together. When you walk into a listing presentation and you have a CMA that says $348,700, you either live in Arizona and you're in model A of 4, right? Or you're super, super good. I think all you're doing when you do that is you actually end up creating a ton of unnecessary objections by making the price your opinion.
Because I have an opinion.
Yeah, because he has an opinion, right? And I don't want him to think that it's my opinion. I want him to think that this is something that the data says, not what Ben says. So Bob, notice on the page, this is actually out of our listing guide. I wrote the words down here that I want my agents to say. Bob, we have a strategy for pricing. We believe it's the most accurate pricing strategy for pricing a home. We call it a 5-5-5. Our real estate team uses the most accurate method available to price your property. The right price for your property is not determined by any one agent or seller. It's determined by the current market conditions. we access accurate, up to date, blah, blah, blah. You guys can read that. Basically what I say is, Bob, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna find 5 acres that are closely match your property, 5 pendings, and 5 solds, right? And we're gonna use that to come up with a range that will allow us to know where we can safely price your home. Does that seem like a really logical approach to you?
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do later?
Yeah, I would absolutely would, in just a little bit. So as we walk through this, notice that if I had sent them this as an actual listing pre-list package, they could have just read the same words that I said to them. The other interesting thing is if I give this to my agents, and they don't know the presentation as well as me, they can literally open the book up, point to the words, and just read it if they had to. Make sense? That ensures that each one of us does the same exact listing presentation, whether they're in Texas, or Colorado, or Napa, or Boise, or Seattle, or Bellingham, or Alaska, or any of those places. So I'm asking confirming questions the entire time. Wow, does this seem like a strategy that would work for you when it came to picking the starting price of your home? For me, every single word matters. He's already confirmed, yeah, it actually sounds pretty good. Great, Bob, let's talk about how we help your property show better. We actually make listings shine. Today's property buyers are armed with more information than ever. They tell their agents which properties they want to see and the ones they've already rejected with too few, and they reject a lot of properties with too few or too poor of photos, etc. These are some things that we do. So that's what the book says. Here's what I'd say. Bob, here's what I found. Is 10 years ago, I've been in business for a while. 10 years ago, I'd sit down with a buyer, we'd sit in the conference room, right? We'd sit at a table like this, and they'd say, what properties are you going to show me today? And I would take out a list of 10 properties, and I would show them those properties and go look at them. Now what I do is I walk in the same exact conference room, Bob. They sit me down at the table and they say, here are the 10 properties that you're going to show me today. What they do is they're picking those properties online and they're deciding what to see without the agent's even opinion. And it's done based on the quality of how that property shows, based on their photography, their photo editing, the staging, the virtual tours, the virtual staging, etc. Suffice to say, Bob, nobody's going to do a better job of making your property shine and look awesome to get more people inside your home. And once people are inside your home, they're going to look around and say, this is awesome. This is the type of place that I can imagine living in. And that would include some staging advice or needed repairs, etc. Does that sound like a plan for you? All right. The third thing that we're going to talk about today, Bob, is marketing properties. And you guys can read what the actual slides say, but here's the gist of it. Bob, every single year the National Association of Realtors does a study called the Profile of Buyers and Sellers. And there's one element of that study that's particularly interesting to me. They research every year how buyers found the actual home that they purchased last year. Now this is, where did they find that home for the very first time? The actual home that they purchased. And they put all that data together, and that's what I use to direct my marketing strategy for the following year. And every year it changes. So we're going to take a data-driven approach to marketing your property so that we can expose it to the most amount of buyers, right? In the best possible areas, they're going to have the highest probability of finding the right buyer for you. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. That is basically what they would get if they read through that page or if they're meeting with one of my agents. This is where we transition into actually talking about what we do to market the property. So, Bob, one of the first things that we learned, let's just read some of this real quick. We market your property to top real estate agents. That's the headline. But the gist of it is, Bob, that nearly 30% of all buyers found their property first because a real estate agent like me said that you should see this particular property. They emailed it to them, they called them about it, or they drove it to them, right? They drove them to the home. 30%, Bob, is not as much as it used to be. It used to be 60, 70, 80, 90%. But with other things like the internet has changed. But here's why that matters to you. You need to hire a real estate professional that has a marketing plan that markets your property to real estate professionals. And I'm going to tell you right now, Bob, that nobody has a better approach to marketing properties to real estate agents than us. Because we are going to do things like send electronic flyers to every real estate agent we can find in the area. We're going to hand out paper materials, flyers, promotional materials to the top agents. What we found, Bob, is that 20% of the agents in this market sell 80% of the homes. So we're going to focus our efforts on those. We're going to send virtual tours to all the real estate agents. We're going to stand up at our office meeting. And the thing that really sets us apart, Bob, is how we communicate with the agents who have had questions about your property or who have questions after viewing your property. And it's going to make us really stand out, because I'm going to call every single one of your showings, or one of my staff is, and we're going to ask them a question. Are your buyers considering putting an offer in on this property? If they say no, our next question is, what can we do to help your buyers make this home their choice and get them to make an offer? Is there something that they don't like, something that we could fix together, you and me, to try to get to a deal? And that agent wants a deal, right? And they know what their buyers don't like. And I found that agents that didn't like the carpet when we talked to my sellers. Anything's possible, right? And I'm going to look and work for a deal. The next thing, Bob, is if they say, no, actually, it's just not for them, I'll say, awesome. Did they end up writing an offer on a home? Which one did they write an offer on, so I can tell my clients? We can help figure out why buyers are choosing that home over yours. And I'm not going to filter any feedback as long as you give me that permission. If they say that the home stinks, or they say they didn't like your living room, or they say they didn't like the color, I want permission from you to just tell you the truth and just tell you exactly what they say. Is that how you communicate? Yeah. Awesome. So I've gone through a whole list of things that I'm going to do to market a property to a real estate professional. Then I use my closing question. It's one of the most powerful questions that I've ever came up with in my listing presentations. All the years that I've done, this is not even a joke. I literally say, Bob, is there anything else that another agent has said that they would do to market your property to other real estate agents that for some reason I forgot to mention?
Well, we're down here in Mesa, right? And a lot of people from Washington move here. So there was an agent that had come in and said he had a really big network up in Washington, and because a lot of buyers come from there, I don't really see anything around that over here.
Oh, and I have to apologize, Bob, because when I talked about marketing your property to the top real estate agents, you must have assumed that I meant local agents. Not only am I going to do that locally, I'm going to do that across the state, across the nation, and across the country. One of the benefits of working with the #1 largest real estate company in the world, if I have access to the #1 real estate agents really in every country, every state, right, all or every major city. So we're going to showcase your property, not just to local agents, right, to every agent. And I apologize for forgetting to mention that. Because of my script, hey Bob, is there anything else that another agent said that they would do when it came to marketing your property to other real estate professionals? Here's the key part, RJ, is that for some reason I forgot to mention. For some reason I forgot to mention. I'm making the assumption that I do everything that everybody else does, but if I miss something, I just forgot to. I forgot to say. That make sense? Does this sound like an approach that would work for you?
Yeah.
So I'm constantly closing, because at the end, if he gives me any objections, that would be weird because we had already agreed the entire way. All right, that sounds like a plan to market your property agents. Let's talk about marketing your property online. Bob, of all buyers, or 90-something%, use the internet to search for homes. But what you need to know is over 45% of all buyers found the actual home that they purchased first online. Because of that, it's really important that you hire a real estate professional that has a strong understanding of the internet and has a marketing plan that showcases your property and what we consider to be the 5 buckets of online marketing. And I'd like permission with you to go through each one of those right now and see if this seems like a plan to market that you'd be into to market your property online. Okay, let's do it. Okay. My tonality is very similar. The only difference is when you're not presenting, like when you're not presenting in front of all you guys and not sweating up here, you might slow down, you might ask more questions, you might have a different experience because we're sitting like this and we're laughing and we're going through, right? So take that with a grain of salt. Okay. So they could actually go through this and read this right here, but in our listing presentation, we broke it out. Each one of these 5 buckets is separate pages. Now here's where, RJ, here's where it comes into the Ford 150 dealership. Here's where you sold the car and he didn't, right? Because right here, Bob, it's important that you hire a real estate professional that understands how to market your property on other brokerage websites. Our technology allows us to showcase your property on all the major brokerage websites in the area. I'm talking about RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, Sotheby's, Better Homes and Gardens, Redfin, Century 21, right, Compass. Whoever I'm competing with, I'm going to make sure that I say that. Whatever neighborhood I'm in, I'm going to make sure that I say that. Bob, as a seller, he has a technology that allows him to showcase my property everywhere. And I'll follow up that with a question. Bob, just out of curiosity, have you ever used it in these brokerage websites or another one?
Windermere, let's see, I mean, in our local markets, we would have Windermere or John Scott or whatever that local thing is, but Windermere.com.
And that's absolutely one of those. I just try to focus on some of the larger, more successful brokerages in the area.
Yeah, I don't like those guys either.
And one of the things that's really unique with us, Bob, is that I'm going to send you a list of each one of these websites with a link to your actual property on their website. Because what I found when I was in the listing business, they would say, I think we should probably list with Windermere or something else. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, I just love the way their website works. It seems like a lot of buyers, when I talk to my neighbors, that's what they use. And I wasn't thinking because their property is on that website. You know why? You know the technology, the secret technology that I'm talking about? That's the freaking MLS, right? Because the other car sales is going to say, I'm going to put it in the MLS, right? But not RJ. RJ is going to say, our technology allows us to make sure that your property is showcased on all the major brokerage websites in the area, including Redfin, Compass, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's. Which one do you use? That's the script. Does that make sense? It's making us stand out when you guys ask the question of how do we appear different when we kind of all do the same thing.
Words matter.
Yeah, words matter. Number two, Bob, is there a lot of websites out there that we consider listing portals? These are places that are not necessarily real estate brokerages, but a lot of buyers use to search for homes. These will be things like Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com. There's actually a couple hundred of them that matter, and even a larger amount that are available overseas, internationally. What I want you to know is your property is going to be showcased on every single one of them. But what helps us stand out from the competition, Bob, is we figured out these little secret algorithms I consider like the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. We figured that out, which allows your property to show up more prominently. Because what I found is that most buyers won't go through 25 pages of 20 properties per page, let alone even go to page 2. So you've got to work with a professional that's figured out how to do that, how to make your property show up more often. So ask how I do that.
How do you do that?
You know, it's different on each one of these portals. Sometimes it's how often we update the photographs. Sometimes it's based on the number of photographs. Sometimes it's based on how often we update the information. Sometimes I just got to write them a check. Nice thing, because we sell so many properties, we can write really large checks to make sure that your property gets showcased on these portals. Do you use any of these currently?
My wife uses Zillow sometimes,
Yeah, how often do you guys use it?
Looking at it all the time.
He just gave me a rabbit to chase, so I'm thinking to myself, do I chase this rabbit right now, or do I move on? Just out of curiosity, do you guys go to Zillow to see what they thought your homes were? What'd they say?
685.
What do you think about that?
It's a little up.
Interesting. And then I'm going to carry on, because I had an opportunity to learn something, right? And when I sat down, one of the things I didn't mention was, you guys are going to hear these words from me a lot. Would it be okay? And I'll say, would it be okay if I took some notes today, Bob? And I have some blank pieces of paper and a Sharpie, because I want them to see exactly what I'm writing. Zillow equals 685, right? And I'm writing notes based on what they said. Okay. Just out of curiosity, Bob, is there anything else that another agent has said that they would do that for some reason I forgot to mention when it came to showcasing your property on the major portals?
No, I've never even heard anybody say they could get stuff better. So,
Yeah.
no.
In today's market, that's what separates agents, actually. In that entire time, I'm planting little tiny seeds like that and agreeing with them when they make those comments. Next time. Now, notice I never talk bad about other agents, especially not one personally, but I am gonna do my job to make us stand out. Okay, third, search engines. Well, what I found is a lot of buyers use search engines, probably namely Google, right? And they go in there and they type in a phrase for a product or service or thing they would like to buy. In this situation, they're typing in a phrase to find a home like yours. Do you use Google out of curiosity? Do you use any other ones? No, nobody uses anything other than that, right? So, if you were a buyer and you were looking to buy a home just like yours, just out of curiosity, just like yours, right? You knew exactly what type of home you were going to buy, right? Not Seattle real estate, but they were looking for your home. Because your home's special, and there's special buyers out there looking for a home just like yours. What would you actually type into the search engine if you were looking to find a property like yours?
3-story home and a 3-story townhouse with all the bedrooms upstairs. I gotta have my kids.
Okay, where though?
Kenmore.
What if somebody went to Google and they typed in 3-bedroom townhouse in Kenmore, and the first thing that came up, one of the first things, was a link to our website and or specifically your property. How would that feel?
That'd be awesome.
That would.
We'd find our guy pretty fast.
Yeah, if there's somebody looking for a home, a 3-bedroom home, just like yours in Kenmore, we're gonna find them fast that way. But sometimes, Bob, and I have about 50,000 words that I do this with, right? Sometimes they don't know Kenmore because they move into the area and they do Seattle, and I'll find them that way as well. But we're gonna start with these targeted phrases. You and I are gonna brainstorm all of those, right? And I can do a lot of that as well if you don't have the time. Does that sound like an aggressive plan, something that nobody else has mentioned?
Yeah.
Awesome. It only takes me about a day, and it's something that most people actually don't understand how to do. So I'm making myself stand out, and I'm hearing from them where they think their buyer's going to come from and what a buyer would type into the search engine. As we go through this, you guys are not going to believe what I'm going to say. I say, Bob, is there anything else that another agent has said that they were going to do? And for some reason, I forgot when it came to marketing your property aggressively. On search engines? Nope. Awesome. Okay, next, classified services. Bob, this is going to seem weird, but there's lots of classified services out there. Facebook Marketplace, the GG, Craigslist, Google, right? There's a place in Central and South America called Mercado Libre. There's all these different classified services. And you might think that a property like yours isn't going to sell in a place like that. But I've sold multi-million-dollar properties to international buyers from services like Craigslist. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
Because they're from out of the country. They don't know what a Zillow is. They've actually never even heard of a realtor. Right? They don't have MLSs. They don't have agents that cooperate and share listing data. They don't know what any of our sites are. They know what Craigslist is. And because of that, they use it. I've had people flying on helicopters, buy $2 million properties, fly out, I never saw them again. I think they were probably drug dealers, but they did buy
I would take money from a drug dealer for my house.
You must not like your neighbors. Yeah, you must not like your neighbors very much. Yeah. So, what an average agent does, if they do this at all, what they're going to do is they're going to put your property on Craigslist maybe once, right, and never again. We're going to have our staff post your property on Craigslist over and over again from the day we list it till the day I get it sold. That seem like a plan for you?
Yeah.
And we'll do it through a variety of other classified services. Do you ever shop or look on
Yeah,
Craigslist?
you guys, well, I used to on Craigslist. I use OfferUp now. My buddy founded OfferUp.
Do they have a real estate section?
They got all sorts of stuff.
Tell you what, I'll check it out as soon as we're done, and if they do, I'll make sure it's showcased. That's an awesome idea. Right? And we're just engaging and agreeing with the person. Next, social media, Bob. I'm talking about showcasing your property on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat. Right? Do you use any of those services? Or?
Oh, yeah, Facebook.
Oh, we should. Do you want to be friends?
I don't know what kind of stuff.
I'll add you up, yeah. So what we do, Bob, is we give you the tools so that you can market your property to your friends and family, and then we market it to our friends, past clients in our database, and then we do paid advertising to showcase your property to all the buyers that are in the area on those major platforms. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You think that would be something that would help get your property sold to top dollar?
Well, yeah, isn't everybody like, all I see is people walking around these days with their phone, I'm assuming they're on those sites.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the whole time when they should be at work. Yeah, I get it. I run into the same thing. Bob, we talked about 5 things to market your property online, right? And we talked about how we do it here. Last question, I know this is super annoying, but is there anything another agent said that they would do to market your property online that for some reason I forgot to mention?
Oh, one guy talked about some kind of Matterport.
Matterport. Actually, that comes into how your property shows, right? And that's where we take a virtual tour or a video, and we make it an interactive experience. The problem with that, Bob, is if they don't market it really well online, nobody ever looks at the Matterport. It gets used about as much as my gym membership. So, yeah. So of course, we do that, Bob. Or I'll give them an alternative if I don't want to spend 4 hours uploading photographs to them, right? Of course I do that, but it still matters how you're going to get that out to potential buyers. So is he agreeing with me the entire time so far? Right, we're interacting, we're asking questions. I'm trying to make them laugh, right? When we laugh, we like each other. When we find commonalities, we like each other. When they hear me care and listen and take notes, they like me. Part of getting listings is getting them to like us, right? Next. Bob, traditional marketing is extremely important. In fact, roughly 20% of all buyers found the home that they actually purchased in one of these 4 traditional marketing channels. Yard signs, open houses, networking, and print advertising. And I'd like to take a few minutes and walk through each one of these with you, Bob, and tell you about how we leverage these and how we do it a little bit different. Number 1, Bob, is we know that signage works because somewhere between 7 and 8% of all homes sold last year because the buyer first saw the for sale sign, a directional sign, or some sort of on-site advertising like a flyer, or this real cool service that we have, it's called Quickly, where they'll text Ben into 59559, and when they do, I get their cell phone number, and they get photos and price your home. What's cool about that is by not putting flyers out, I get more people to request information. When they request information, I get their cell phone number. When I get their cell phone number, what we do is we call them 7 days a week, and we try to get them inside your home. And it avoids the people that run up all dressed in black, right, in the middle of the night, grab your flyer and run away.
Yeah, we didn't even have flyers in our box. They're always
But it's empty all the time. There's your neighbors that are stealing them, right? They think they're putting a drug dealer in here. Yeah. Complete way. Yeah. All right. So we're going to do directionals, right? We're going to use the call capture service so we can capture their cell phone number. We're going to send them photographs of the inside of your home and the price, and we're going to have a very beautiful sign out front if you allow it. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay. Same thing with traditional marketing like open houses. This is where the real estate agent has to stop and think, do I want to do open houses or not? Raise your hand. Do you want to do open houses? Yes. Okay, raise your hand if you don't want to do open houses. Be honest. Okay, we'll start with you guys. You guys are awesome. Because we don't want to sit there, right? Okay. Bob, you know, there's roughly 5 to 7% of homes sell because of open houses. What that stat will tell you is the vast majority of those are new construction developments where people walk in and they look at 5 or 10 or 15 different models at once, right? If you decide to do an open house, I just have one request for you. Will you make sure that you lock up any jewelry, firearms, prescriptions, or important paperwork? Because sometimes neighbors and other people use open houses as a way to come in and grab information. And if you aren't, it sounds to me like you're not comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable with an open house, Bob, why don't we do a 24-hour open house? Where I use the videos and the photography and the Matterport tour that you mentioned to showcase your property to buyers, pre-qualify them, and only bring in qualified, motivated people, not creepy people that are looking through your drawers.
Yeah. Right. I got a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and that's,
You don't want to do that. Okay, raise your hand if you like open houses. No, get your hands up. Come on, you already said it. Like, don't get shot. Great. Here's your tip. About 5 to 7% of all homes sell because of open houses. It's extremely important that we give open houses a try, and I'd like to start as soon as this Sunday to showcase your property to find available buyers. we'll evaluate it afterwards and see if your neighborhood and your property is a good candidate for selling homes. And we'll do the best we can to get as many people through there on the first week to get to the property list. Does that sound good?
Yeah, totally.
Make sense? You decide. Okay. Networking. Our agents excel at the essential skills of networking, which means we can find buyers that other agents might miss out on. We host and attend events often to constantly widen our network. This is what they would read. Here's what I'd say. Bob, here's what I found. I like to play a game with my sellers. I'm going to give you all the tools, the videos, the photographs, the links, right, the Matterport tours. I'm going to give you all those tools. You're going to use social media, give some flyers, you can bring it to work, right, to talk to your friends, church, all the places you go, right? And you're going to try to find a buyer. And then I'm going to try to find a buyer through all these sources, plus through my network. I have a network of a massive amount of buyers, past clients, friends, people in the industry. We're going to do the best we can to organically find somebody that wants to come back to you. Does that make sense? This results in only a couple % of home sales every year, but it's something fun we can do. We can all work together. Seem awesome?
Like, we cut your pay if I find the buyer?
Absolutely. Will you double the pay if I find it? Oh, we'll talk about that. Next. See how fast I responded to that? Yeah, that's how it works. Okay, next, Bob, traditional advertising. This is things like print material, postcards, just listed, just sold cards. We send out just listed and just sold cards around properties in the area to find potential buyers, right? But there's another form of print advertising, and it resulted in less than 1% of all sales last year. Those are the things you read when you get teriyaki. You're sitting down, like you're waiting an abnormally long time to get chicken, right? You're sitting there. Do you know what magazines they have in the teriyaki restaurant? Harmon Homes.
Harmon Homes.
The real
Always
estate
like little books, that
Yeah.
like the pictures are small, and
The newspaper.
I like teriyaki.
Do you have a newspaper subscription? Yeah, nobody else does either. So if you took all of those things, Bob, and you stacked them on top of each other, would actually reach to the ceiling. That resulted in less than 1% of all sales last year. Yet most real estate agents spent 80% plus of their marketing budget on something that only resulted in 1% of sales. Isn't that silly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just don't waste our time on that. We're going to focus on the 99%. Right.
Put that money towards Zillow and some other stuff.
Right. Now, if I combined all these things, let's review for a second. Marketing to agents, marketing online, open houses, right? Signs on our sign strategy, networking, right? Just listed, just sold. If I combine all those things, does that sound like a strategy that would get your home sold for top dollar?
Yeah.
Is there anything that another agent said that they would do that for some reason I forgot? No, this is the most comprehensive marketing plan you've heard, and you've sold a couple homes.
Yeah.
Okay, this sounds like a plan. Here's what's going to set us apart above and beyond that, Bob. We already have a massive database of buyers. In that massive database of buyers, Bob, we have thousands and thousands of, I can log in and show you if you want. And sometimes I actually do log into Rivity. I'll go in there, I'll show them all the buyers, and I'll sort by the last visit, right? I'll sort by price point, and I'll actually go in there and I'll show them all the different buyers. I said, you probably got a lot of calls with people that said they had a buyer. I have about 92,513 potential buyers that we've collected over time that are actively searching for properties at some point, not just like your home, Bob. They're looking for properties in the area. But there's somebody in there, all your neighbors sold, yeah, your neighbors started at $20,000 lower than what we did. Make sense? Okay. So we talk about some of the technology tools and how we use it. When a buyer visits our website, Bob, we can see exactly what they're looking for. They'll be automatically emailed new listings that match their searches. We know when they're viewing your actual property, when they favorite a home, specifically yours, or they request a showing, they'll get sent to a team of our buyer's agents that are available 7 days a week, right, to show your property as long as that works for you.
Yeah, it's good.
Showing feedback, as I already told you, it'll be built in. It's going to be automatically sent to you using our tool Rivity. We're not going to filter anything. We're going to tell you exactly what they say. And we're going to work with them to try to resolve that and get them to actually get your property or to make adjustments if we have to. Next, marketing feedback, market updates, etc. When I'm done with all of those, you guys need pictures of that? Feedback. Marketing feedback. Log into your private seller folder portal to see all places where marketing.
Remember, if you're a Brevity client, you don't have to take these pictures because you can get your hands on this. Like maybe go to those afterwards.
Market updates. See what's happening in your area. This is an example of the actual market report that we send. It sends them out in different colors. Green is active, yellow is pending, red is sold. Do it on active listings, do it on past clients. As soon as you sell that home, knock on the door to the buyer and say, hey, for a while we've been providing this service to the seller, where we were sending them out updates about this home, and I thought to myself, I needed to stop it, and before I did, I didn't want to be selfish. I wanted to reach out to see you and see if you wanted to continue receiving updates on what's going on in your neighborhood.
Because the other person, the buyer's agent that helped them buy, they're not.
They're never going to hear from them again. It's like a tender date. They're like, no. Okay, next steps. I've gone through this entire process with everybody, so I actually put the steps on a piece of paper. Bob, if this seems like a plan that would get your property sold for top dollar, only thing we have to do next is pick your starting price. I'm wearing my shirt. I was really bad blue in my square. Bob, pay attention.
I just flew in from China.
Not too soon, Bob. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Number three, we need to choose a starting date. We need to choose a starting date. And Bob, the cool thing right after that is our marketing team takes over. Now, here's what's interesting. We can do this entire presentation, I can do the entire presentation on a whiteboard, on a single piece of paper, with the flip book, or without it if I had to, because I took the time to learn each page. We require our listing agents to get certified and to present the listing presentation verbatim. Verbatim. And if they don't do that, they don't get to go represent us to potential sellers. That make sense?
And they pass, by the way, by presenting it to the team, to the rest of the team, right? So their peers who have already passed it get to give them the thumbs up or thumbs down if they get to go represent the price.
In the first 4 or 5 agents that I hired, what I did, Bob, is I sat down and I did this presentation for them, and I expected them to memorize it right away. Over time, I realized that just doesn't work. So I took a video camera, I recorded myself doing it, right? I had a VA transcribe it. I took the audio of it, I put it on back then a CD. Some of you guys want to know what that was. It was this round thing. Right? And they listened to it, they watched the video, they have the written transcript, and now they have the slides and the words written in the presentation, so we all do it the exact same way. But the way I would do this, if I was not using these materials, because I like to be informal sometimes, but I earn the right to do it because I know the scripts, is I'll take a piece of paper and I'll draw a pie chart, just a circle. I said, Bob, the National Association of Realtors does a study every single year where they figure out where buyers found the actual home that they purchased. And based on that data, I came up with a very comprehensive marketing plan that can guarantee that your property will be sold for top dollar. Would it be okay? Would it be okay if I walked you through that? And I take the first pie, it's about 30%, and say the very first thing we got to do is we got to come up with a plan to market your property to real estate agents. And I have a five-pronged approach to market your property to all real estate agents, both locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally. Right? And I walk through each one of those 4 or 5 things that we do. Next piece of pie, Bob, the internet. Internet's really important. Nearly all buyers will use the internet at some point during their search, but upwards of 50% found the actual home that they purchased online through one of 5 major places. I'd like to walk through each one of those 5 for you. And I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the side of the paper to the right of that piece of pie. Brokerage websites, listing portals, classified services, social media, right, and search engines. And then I'll go to the next piece, and I'll write down listing signs or signage. And I'll do open houses, and then for the rest I'll do other. And each time I'll ask the very simple question, is there anything else that another agent said that they would do that for some reason I forgot to mention? And I can get that entire thing done in somewhere between 4 and 5 minutes if I had to, or I can drag it out for 20 to 30 minutes. Make sense? Or if somebody is a high I or an S and they want to go through this, I will dive into this and walk through page by page with them with a professional presentation. How'd you feel about that, Bob?
I feel like I was just a bobblehead shaking my head yes a lot of the times, even if I had a question, the way you were phrasing it, you were making me go, yeah, and my question.
Why do real estate agents have objections? Because they don't answer questions with the presentation. When you get a lot of objections at the end, it's because you weren't answering them with your materials and your presentation. Pamela.
So what you've just gone through, you've already pre-sent to them via either email or Dropbox attachment. Is that what you said at the beginning?
If I had time, her question was, yeah, her question was, have I already sent the materials?
What you just went through.
What I just went through, I would have emailed it to them, because I'm cheap and I don't like to print it, or I would have dropped it off if that didn't work, right? With a couple of exceptions. A lot of times we do canceled expires, and when we're done with canceled expires, what happens is if we're going to get an appointment in a couple hours, there's not going to be time for them to review it, so I'm going to bring it with me. But if somebody said, hey, I'd love to meet with you on Saturday, I'll say, great, let me get some materials over for you, and you can have a little bit of time to preview it. That make sense? What's that? So a lot of people talk about a one-step and a two-step listing presentation. A one-step listing presentation, when you walk in, you get the paperwork, you leave, right? You don't have to go back. A lot of people do a two-step. There's a lot of opinions about it. Here's what I found. People that do two steps traditionally probably work their sphere more, or expensive marketing like radio or TV or those types, and they have a relationship and the people are actually just interviewing them. People that do one steps are usually cold calling, canceled expires, or don't like wasting time, and they know that if they don't leave the contract today, somebody's going to come in at 5 o'clock or the next day, and they're going to steal your Kool-Aid. And we don't want somebody to steal our Kool-Aid. That make sense? So, I've already got through this process. I've done my presentation. I've pre-closed them a bunch of times. Bob, does this seem like a plan? Then let's get started with the paperwork.
What do we sell this thing for?
Yeah, let's figure that out, and then we would dive into the 555. The 555 is literally 5 actives printed out on MLS paperwork, 5 pending, and 5 sold. I use that to come up with a bracket, and when I'm doing that, Bob, I'm going to take the first paperwork and say, let's walk through some things. The first thing I'm going to walk through is our competition. Our competition are the active properties. These are the properties that are currently for sale. Right? And I'll actually take it up like this, a piece of paper. You can use Brevity CMA to do it, right? And you're going to use a highlighter, and you're going to go there and you're going to say, all right, this property, 1234 Main Street, Bob, is currently on the market for $425,000. It's been on the market for 63 days, and I'm highlighting all those spots, right? They originally listed at $449. They've already dropped to $425. Currently no buyers, and I'll hand it to them. As soon as he's looking for that, I'll then go into the next piece. Bob, this property is also up the street. It's currently listed for $399,000. It's been on the market for less than a day, right? I previewed it earlier. There was about 57 cars in there. I think it's going to go actually pretty quick, right? This property has been on the market for nearly 6 months. They started at $499, they reduced to $475, they reduced to $450, they reduced to $425, they reduced to $399, still didn't sell, they reduced to about $380. Ouch, huh? And I'm painting the picture. Then, Bob, let's talk about the lucky ones. The lucky ones are the ones that actually got an offer today. These are the pendings. What I know is I know what price they got an offer at, so I know what they were listed at last, but I don't know what their actual offer was. We won't know that till it closes. But what I can show you is this property was on the market for 7 days, listed for about $400. This property is on the market for 6 months, started at $500. Right? They finally got an offer at $375. Right? And I'm telling the story. Then I get to the solds. I'm going to have 2 types of solds. Ones that sold fast for over asking or at asking, and ones that sold under asking for a slow amount of time. What picture am I drawing for him? Price matters. You overprice, you sell less. You underprice, you sell for more. When I'm done with that, I'll say, Bob, I know that you've looked at Zillow, but they pull all this same information. I know that you have a price in your mind. Not what do you want to sell your home for. Based on all this data, what does your heart tell you that your property is going to actually sell for?
It's like something 09. Was it 309 or 409? It's or 99. It's somewhere in that range. Not $10,000 bracket would be my guess.
And if that's what I like, I'd say, I think you're pretty dead on. Now, follow-up question: Is that a price that you could actually sell for that you and your spouse rather would be at least happy with?
And I like the top side of that.
One way to do that, Bob, is not to go to 4.9, is to go to 3.99, or even a little bit lower and see if we can get it fitted up. That's a strategy if you want to try to maximize. Otherwise, we can be safe and do it right for 400. But if we want to risk it for a week or two, we can start at 4.5 or 4.9 and then make an adjustment. What do you think your starting price should be? I'm comfortable anywhere in that range from 385 to 409.
400 probably. I think. I don't know. To me, there's no difference between 399 and 400. Let's go at 400, and maybe we can still get a couple offers.
Yeah, I think with all the marketing we can, and if we don't, we'll make an adjustment, but I think that's a pretty safe price. When I walked in here, I knew that I wanted that property at 380, and I wouldn't take it over to 420. That was the picture. I was walking in with a strategy, a bracket in my mind, and if he would have said, I need to get 425 to that,
I need 425 then.
I appreciate that, Bob. Here's the problem. I don't see any data that backs that up. So let's find a property that will justify your price, and I'm good with that. The agent shows buyer, and they're not going to show it over the price property. Number two, I got to sell it to buyers who are looking online, right, searching and driving around to make sure they want to get in there. And once I get them in here and they write an offer, I have to sell it to their bank, because the bank is going to have to give them an appraisal. And that appraisal is going to have to justify your price. And the banks, the agents, and the buyers now all have access to the same database. So I have to show them a property, preferably 2 or 3, that will justify that price. So out of all the homes that we went through today, and that was everything within a 5-mile radius, can you find a property that would show 425?
Maybe we'll just find that perfect buyer, that person that loves my house.
That isn't what the data says. But here's another option you consider to do under financing. That's when you actually give your buyers the home, but you loan them the money. Because sometimes you can sell for a little
I need that money to go buy the next place.
Yeah, and one of my worries, Bob, is that if you wait, interest rates are going to go up. If interest rates go up 1%, your cost on your new home goes up 10%, which 10% of 400,000 is 40,000, and 10% of the available buyers for your property go away because now they can't afford your home either. So I'm looking at potentially losing you $80,000 if I allow you to make a mistake of listing at 425. I'm not willing to do that, Bob. I'm sure you can find an agent who wants to use your listing to find buyers, but me personally, I wouldn't do that to you. We have to come up with a price range that we're both comfortable with. What do you think? Can you do it?
Yeah, so 410 is the most we list this thing at?
I wouldn't recommend anything higher than that, but we started that. And if it doesn't, would it be okay if we sat down in a couple of weeks and we reviewed all the activity? And you want to hear a strategy that I use? It's a secret. If we price your property correctly, we will get offers in the first 2 weeks. Right? We'll know it. If we get a lot of showings but no offers, we're at least 3 to 6% on home price. If we get some showings but not a lot, we're probably 6 to 10% off home price. And we get no showings at all, Bob, we're 10+% off home price. I don't want us to be in any of those positions, but I'm going to be honest with you. My gut says, if you go in my range, you're either going to get offers or a lot of showings, and we're going to be really close. What do you think?
Let's go.
It seems like the data is true, right? It's not me, it's not my opinion. I'm using data instead of him using me to be wrong. That make sense? So let's talk about some objections as we work through this. Bob, maybe you could walk the mic around for us for a few minutes, and we could talk through a couple of objections that people might have.
Frog in my throat, by the way, a total joke. I'm not. I'm just a little hoarse though, because I have just been talking nonstop.
Chill, Chip Palmer from Lexington. Can you tell us a little bit about the advantages of pricing stuff? Like 325, 350, if people look at it, it's 25,000 versus that 999 number, because it'll knock you right out of the search if you don't do it.
Yeah, I think in the past, it mattered a lot more because they go to more generic websites and they were pricing from 350 to 400. If you priced at 401, you lost it, right? Or if you priced at 399, you'd be in that next bracket below. I don't know if it makes a big difference today because most of us are just looking at a map search or sorting by our highest price down.
Hi, my name's Ben Kinney, I'm from LA. Couple of questions. Thank you. When you log in and say, can you just do the paperwork right away, do you know the percentage of the time that actually works?
20% or more.
Wow.
And it's even higher if I had sent them the listing paperwork or the pre-listing package.
And then do you talk
It was humbling for me the first time because I realized that I had made people sit through half-hour presentations for 3 or 4 years. Yeah, yeah.
Do you talk about the price and sign it, you got the paperwork to sign it, and then you do the 5.1?
I take out the paperwork, I circle the price and say, this is what we have to figure out before we leave today. I have them fill out the paperwork, and then I break up the CMA. Because you want people to commit to things before you argue about stuff. So I try to get the commitment and then figure out the commission or the price. Anybody have any business cards? You're real estate agents. Somebody's walking around handing out cards to everybody, I promise you. Okay. Bob asked me how much I charge.
How much do you charge?
Bob, instead of me explaining how much I charge, could I start with explaining how real estate commissions work?
Yes.
Can we just pretend for a second that each one of these business cards represents a percent?
Okay.
Right? And in my hand today, let's just count like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 business cards, right? Let's pretend for a second that I charge 6%. Let me explain how that would work. Right off the bat, Bob, I'm going to take 3 of these cards and I'm going to give them to the agent that represents the buyer. And if I don't offer 3% to the agent that represents the buyer, in this market what happens is that buyer's agents, unfortunately, show your neighbor's homes more than yours. It's important, it's one of the things I don't negotiate on, is what I offer the selling office to the buyer's agent for buying your property. And it's a big myth that the real estate agent gets all this, because this is what I'm actually left with. Now, I'm going to invest nearly 1% into the marketing and the services of my listing, so right away, 1% goes away. Right? I'm going to take 1%, that's what I have to pay in transactional fees, fees to my brokerage to be a part of a national brokerage, an international brokerage, and that's what it costs. Bob, and you never list with a boutique brokerage or an individual one because they don't have that exposure, so that's a fixed cost, that's why I'm here. That goes away, and this is what I'm left with, Bob. This is what I feed my kids with, this is what I buy shoes with, right? I put gas in my car, it's how I got lunch today, right? But I don't get to keep all this because same guy you have to pay the IRS. So when I'm done with that, this is what I actually live on. Now the unfortunate thing is most people think that we take all 6% of the days and we take them home at night and we put them in our bed and we roll around. But that's actually not how commission works.
Well, Redfin said that they would do it for 1%.
Take another agent real quick. Say I interviewed an agent, they do it for 5%.
Jimmy said they do it for 5%.
Awesome. And sometimes I run into discounters as well. Let's talk about that. We know that Jimmy actually still has to pay the agent who represents the buyer. So 3% is going to go away. Now he said he was going to do it for 5%, so 1% goes away, right? You know that he still has to pay his brokerage because you're not going to hire somebody that works at the boutique or a brokerage where they can't actually get international exposure, right? So they don't have to pay their brokerage. So just out of curiosity, do you think Jimmy was looking to skimp on the marketing and servicing of your listing, or on feeding his family, buying his shoes, and putting gas in his car? Because here's what I found. Is I found that if you don't invest a fair amount of money into the marketing and servicing of your listing, your home doesn't actually sell for top dollar. And that's what happens when you actually end up listing with extreme discounters like Redfin, is they take your listing for cheap. They sell your home for cheap. And you don't want to do that, right? No. Literally, the visual aspect of doing this help people understand that we're not just, I would really apologize about the words. We're not just doing this all day, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. What other objections do you guys have? Let's do, but I see, hey, Bob just said this one. He said, but I see RJ's signs all around town. Absolutely, that's what happens when you don't sell them. Or Sophia says, I was thinking about listing it for sale by owner. That's awesome. I know a lot of people that have considered doing that. Let's talk, would you mind if we talk a little bit about the data behind that? Here's what I found. The National Association of Realtors says 86% of all for sale by owners eventually list with the real estate agent. So there's only roughly a 14% chance of success. Of that 14%, 50% already had a buyer identified, which means that takes away 7%, just out of curiosity. If you already have a buyer for your home, friend, family, neighbor, somebody you knew you thought, well, we should talk to them first before we get it done, and if they actually buy it, we can work out a great deal, but anybody besides them. Awesome. So we're down to now 7% of the people that didn't already have a buyer lined up, that tried to sell on their own and were successful, that 7%, they eventually sold for somewhere between 10 and 12% less than asking. I know I'm going to charge 6%, right? Here's another scary fact. 75% of the for sale by owners were related, 75% of the real estate related lawsuits were one party was unrepresented by a real estate professional. If I could summarize that, you have an 86% chance of eventually listing with me anyway. But if you are successful, you're going to sell for 10 to 12% less and have a 75% chance of a real estate related lawsuit. Would you consider just allowing me to charge a fair fee, of which I only get to keep half, and we can get your property actually sold for top dollar? And then what I'll do, just to make sure you feel safe about it, is I'll put a cancellation agreement in the paperwork that anytime you're unhappy, or I don't do what I promise, you can cancel at any time. And if your neighbor buys it, I'll do it for 1%. We have a deal? Very simple. Now, what do you guys observe from my scripts and dialogues?
He knows them really well.
Internalized.
Yeah, it sounds a little awkward to you all because you're hearing a presenter, but I've done it for so long, right? When somebody said, this actually sounds really awesome, but unfortunately I still have one more interview later with another agent. I completely understand a lot of our people interview multiple people, but can I give you a suggestion? Would it be okay, who's the other agent? Oh, it's Randy? Would it be, I know Randy, he's a great guy. Would it be okay if, you feel like our plan's gonna work still, right? You feel like it was a good plan? Would it be okay if I just gave Randy a call? Let him know that you decided to list with me, but he can still bring a buyer if he has one. He'll make a lot more money than me on this because he doesn't have to spend as much money on marketing, right? If he does have a buyer, right? Let him know that you decided to list with me, and then you don't have to sit through another one of these horrible presentations. We can get your home on the market, and we don't have to take Randy away from his family, his kids, and his other clients for no reason. Would that be okay? I've done that so many times, you cannot believe. Usually the most common response is, really? Absolutely. I actually do it often. Sure. Victor, what's your question?
So my question would be, if you list the home and sell it within a couple of days, 1, 2, 3 days, and then they start thinking, we underpriced this home, how do you handle that?
You got to set the expectations up front, and I think that's what a lot about sales is you say, there's a really good chance we can get an offer soon, and if we do, we're lucky, because I can show you a lot of homes that haven't gotten one. If that happens, I want you to know that that's when my work actually starts, and that's where a great real estate professional can take over. It's my job to ensure that the appraisal, the inspections, the negotiations, the other agents, the escrow, the title, that nobody else screws up any part of the process, and we can continue to get your property sold. And that's when I'm going to start working to help you find your replacement property. So if we're lucky enough to have that happen, we have a lot of work ahead of us, right? You're just going to have to know that I have your back, and we're going to get it done.
So if you sell it quick, will you give me a discount?
No,
you're not going to be working as much.
I'm actually negotiable, and not all commissions are negotiable, but if it takes a long time, could I increase it?
No.
No, so it seems like fair. If I'm willing to risk it all up front, whether I get it sold right away or in a long period of time, I'm going to get paid the same amount. Would it be okay if you pay the same amount? Say, are your commissions negotiable?
Are your commissions negotiable?
Absolutely. I start at 6%. I'm willing to go as high as you want. Ask me how much I charge.
How much do you charge?
I actually only charge 3%. It sounds like an amazing deal based on all the marketing and servicing that we just discussed. The only thing that we have to figure out before we leave today is how much we want to present to the buyer's agent for representing the buyer. It starts normally around 3%, but you can be a little bit more aggressive if you'd like to offer a higher selling office commission to 3.5%, or even crazy if you want 4%, but you want to get a lot of agents working for you. Where do you think you would like to land? 3% for selling office, 3.5% and 4%? Because the problem we negotiate with people, and people start thinking that we get the whole 6%. That isn't actually how commission works. Very important that we enter here on time today. All of our scripts are available at youtube.com/Ben Kinney. You guys want to learn about Brivity or get copies of this presentation, come by the Brivity booth. I hope today was a good use of your guys' time.
Thank you, guys.